As we go through life, we will meet a variety of people, and we'll build complicated personal relationships with them. There are various types of relationships, such as friend, work, romantic, and family relationships. It is important to remember that relationships are as individual and different as the people who are a part of them. There are different expectations in every relationship. Sometimes these expectations are made clear by talking about them, but other times they're just unspoken rules that develop as people spend time together. In this series, we're going to talk about the different aspects of relationships from different point of view with Dr. Malcolm Fardis, Kiana, Adam, and Sonas. Today's topic is asking for a second date. What qualifies a person for a second date? And how would you ask for it? Let's start with Kiana. So, Kiana, what does it take for you to go on a second date with Adam? Just as an example.
Wow.
And be honest. I'm just putting you in a situation.
Depends. Did Adam ask me or I asked him?
Okay, so that really counts. Like you would just wait for the person, the guy, or Adam, to contact you after the second date.
See, it's not necessary. Like, what if I ask Adam first, and then I expect him to say, okay, let's go for another one, you know? I won't be keep asking.
You won't be keeping asking?
No.
So, Sonas, like you go on a date.
Right.
You're on your first date. Everything seems to be going okay.
Right.
There seems to be like some sort of chemistry going on and everything. What does it take for you to go on a second date? Do you wait for the person to contact you, or you just say, hey, it was nice, let's go on a second date? How does it work for you?
It depends. If it's going well, I think I want to see them again, you know, then you know, I want to do it, and I'll wait for them too.
So you wait for them.
Yeah, and then it should be kind of a mutual thing. You know, at some point they'll say, well, do you want to see, you know, do this tomorrow, or what's your plan for Friday? Yeah, okay. You know.
Okay. Adam, what's your point of view?
Well, chemistry and the spark. That spark rarely occurs. I think it happens very rarely, and when it does, I make sure that I take it to a point that I can ask for the next date.
There was something we were talking about before we started the show. You were saying you shouldn't have what?
I shouldn't have, in terms of?
Like for you to not go on a...
Oh, well, sex.
Okay.
Sex is very thrown around like a freebie a lot these days, and so you try to make sure that if it doesn't get to that point, and there's a lot of self-respect and a lot of control, then you know that's an environment that you want to pursue, as opposed to something that's kind of all over the place, and you might say, well, this might not be a sustainable, secure relationship to maintain.
Okay.
Can I take it from here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
It's all yours.
So, you say you're looking for spark and you're looking for chemistry, and then you say, and another way you're telling me that,
right.
Yeah, you're losing the self-respect. What do you mean by self-respect, though?
Well, so there's two things. Chemistry and spark does not imply that sex, right? If you have chemistry and spark, a connection, you then know that that person, there's something there that keeps you in tune and wanting to be with that person. And then the sex aspect of it is, if, you know, there's a lot of factors, right? There's the hormone, there's the male needs, there's the female needs, and you want to run into it, typically. The anatomy says such. But the mental aspect of it is to try to establish your boundaries, your foundations early on, to which then you can build a successful and real constant relationship, as opposed to saying, hey, let's just put everything on the table and see what's going on. Because there is problems that could occur, such as you sleep with that person and it doesn't work out perfectly, or it's not even so much the sex, but rather the next day they say something, by the way, did you know that I got a divorce 2 weeks ago, that you didn't know? And then that'll kind of throw everything off. So rushing that portion of it could really ruin the relationship. That's all I'm saying.
What about your son?
I think that's really well said. I agree with Adam. I think he explained it very well about the difference between a spark and just wanting to be together versus the physical portion of the relationship. I think it was well said. I have nothing to really add.
But that's what it means. That's what chemistry means. That means intimate relationship.
And we have to understand that men and women think differently about this topic. Men do view a woman, no matter what kind of modern world we're living in, certain standards are expected on a first, second, however many dates, you know, you might go on. It's still there and it exists, and no matter how much we want to say it doesn't matter, there's always the male's always judging that. And as for the female, if you know that, you'll respect it, or, you know, however you decide.
And that's the thing, Sana. These are the rules. These are the things we've been told there. But this is 2017, and things should be different right now.
It should be, but it's so hard. It's just so ingrained in certain men brains. And let's just say, even culturally, as a culture, Persian men are also brought up, you know, and told by their mothers and fathers how to act and how to go about looking for a significant other. So,
Adam, it looks like you have something to say.
No, we were talking. I don't know if we're honing this down on specific Persian men, but we are Persian American,
culture.
And that's what we have a commonality here. So we're like first generation, second generation Persian. Right. But yet we're Americanized because, well, I was born and raised here. We were all grown with the cultures and norm here. In terms of standards and judgmental, I think that's sort of not so much that we may not have that so much, I don't think. I think the society now has taught us not to be like that, but in terms of, you know, if that's what I expect from a girl, I don't have any expectation going into a first date. I don't think that I would, and I don't even think it's a disqualifier having sex on the first instance. I really don't. I think that even if that does happen, you're still in the game, you're still in the ballpark. But it's a matter of how that, everything that led up to it and everything afterwards. If it was like, oh, okay, well, I can, you know, this is all that I'm good for. This is what I want. Those are red flags. Those might not be someone that you later want to pursue your time with to becoming into a relationship with.
So let me make it simple. You're telling me if you have sex with someone, you will lose interest right away.
I guess you're taking that back.
No, I know. To recant that statement, you guys are asking me to do so. No, I will. You know, I think that it takes away. It's a good subject, and it's a good point. Do I lose, or do I respect someone less for having sex with me the first instance?
Be honest.
I would have to say, yeah. I would have to say that truly, although I might be pushing for it and so forth, I would be setting up someone for a trap, and I think that's very valid. And I think that that's just not something that's personal to me. I think a lot of people feel that way, and I think that it's unfortunately in 2017 where it's so common, it's not the way to be. But
so it's kind of like you're pursuing it a lot, but at the same time, in the back of your mind, you're hoping that it doesn't happen.
Right.
If you're really like serious with that girl, and you want to take this longer, you want to go on a second date, you want to go on a third date, or maybe get into serious relationships.
That's correct.
Okay. Dr. Faris, what's your point of view on this?
I sort of feel interesting conversations. I feel like sometimes maybe you might know ahead of time, or during your time with the other person, that you might in fact be interested in going out with them. Sometimes you may not know that. Sometimes you will finish that first date, and then you will think about it, and then you come to a conclusion as far as whether you want them or not. One thing that I might have said here in this platform before is I'm not in favor of playing games. So one of the things that every once in a while I hear from people is, you have to wait so many days before you reach out again, and that is not something that I would encourage. Not so much because you will be violating social norms or rules, but because I feel like in thinking about your relationship that way, you sort of set a precedent for things to be more like game as opposed to be an authentic, genuine relationship. As far as progression into physical relationships and sex, that I actually feel like there are series. Essentially, we're talking about touch as a means of social communication. That probably is best done if it goes through a series of progression from sort of light to heavy. And if that doesn't follow that particular format, then people have different feelings about it. Some people might be okay with that. Some people might in fact feel like, you know, they have the spark with that person and they're magnetically attracted to them, and they may start getting physical very quickly, and that actually might stick and it might work for them. For some people it may not, because they feel like they have skipped some of the developmental stages of the relationship. They didn't allow it to build and get to that point organically. So I can see it going both ways.
Well, Doctor, respectfully, I mean, and you are a professional in this instance and an expert considered in this area of psychology, relationship behavioral psychology. But two things. In terms of you saying you don't like games, it's not about, I don't think, and I understand that, but it is the way of the land, one. We're going back years, many years, when rituals, I'm talking thousands of years, when women would dance in circles and men would stand in a circle and then pick out the one. Those flirting, those games to which who was the most wildest woman, the biggest man would pick the woman. So we're talking, and then ultimately when years progress and so that game concept has not been something new. It's been for years and years and generations. And then ultimately now the psychology is if you're not aware of that back and push and exchange that happens, you're almost, there is no more desire to be that spark, that appeal is no longer there. So and also another thing is maybe traditional as well. Maybe in your cultural background it was not accepted. It was much more clear, this is my desire, what's your desire, let's put it together. But in today's society, mostly, if not all of the youth, considering that technology is so present and everyone is so up to par, those types of, if you don't play the game, if you do not know how to communicate, if you do not do those exchanges, you will not have a successful relationship.
I don't mind, just as maybe a thought to follow up, I don't mind if a person knows that this is what they're doing, that there's certain rituals that you are following. I don't necessarily discredit that. But I would want for a person to be mindful of what type of precedent they're setting for the relationship. That if you do in fact enter knowingly or unknowingly into the scene of playing games, which is, it has to be 3 days before I call them, or this sets a precedent for what type of relationship you will have with that person. So that means that if you stay together in the next year and 2 years and 5 years, there will be more of this. I don't necessarily feel like this is a wrong thing, but I feel like the person needs to make that decision consciously. That if they want to, or if they don't mind being in that type of relationship, then you can start it that way. If you want to define a different type of relationship that has less of these things as burdens, as like rules that perhaps make the relationship, frame the relationship that way, then to be able to choose which route to take. Once again, I don't have necessarily a preference for following the social rituals heavily or not, but then understanding that. There's one more thing that's also interesting in what I heard from you, Adam, which is how you maintain a certain level of interest from the person that you are on a date with. The way I understood what you said is if a person has some air of mystery about them, this might be interesting to the other person, this might be inviting to them. And I do agree with that, I also want to make a distinction between mystery and being secretive. Being secretive is something that I defined as, well, these are some of the things about my life I want nobody else to know. That would be being secretive. Being a little mysterious is telling your date in so many ways that there are other interesting things about me that you would want to know. And this would be almost an invitation for a continuation of the relationship or a second date.
So you're basically saying by not playing games, like not following a rule book. I guess that's your point of view as a game was just being mysterious, like jokes and all that. Am I wrong here? Like you're saying, don't follow the rule book. Like you don't have to like wait 3 days to send a text message or follow this, follow that.
My sense is that if, for instance, you know that you really want to ask that person out during your first date, you really know that, but then you're blocking yourself and tell yourself, well, no, I shouldn't express too much interest because I'm sending the wrong signal, or I have to wait such and such number of days, then you're being inauthentic to yourself. That your interest in that moment is in fact to ask them out. And then you want to redirect it or shape it or impose certain social sanctions on it. Then this is in essence what it comes down to, that this isn't being true.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Is this for you, your experience? Do you, like, if you've been on dates, do you usually wait?
I probably do. I probably am inauthentic, to be honest. I think both women and men wait to see if the other person likes them or not.
Why do you wait?
Because I think it's a fear of being rejected, maybe.
Okay.
You don't know if they like you as much as you like them, or if they want a second date as much as you want a second date. So you kind of play it safe by not saying anything or waiting for the other person to make a move, and then, you know.
So
Yeah,
what's
I
your
think it's just fear, to be honest.
I'm the person who just, no regrets, I'll ask out.
Good for you.
Okay, you
I'm
put on the
definitely
table,
not
you like
that
the guy,
confident yet.
Yeah.
You go for it. You don't like it, you just if you don't like the guy, do you wait until he texts you and then asks you and then tell him, no, maybe we should just be friends, or you say right off the bat, right after the first date, you just say, I guess it's not gonna work out between me and you. Let's just stay friends, or let's be just associates. Do you do that?
Yeah, because you don't want to waste his time,
Okay, that's good.
So it's like, I don't want to waste mine and yours, and if I think we're not good together, why would we bother going for another date,
I wouldn't tell him off the bat. I probably would wait. I don't want to say anything until it's brought up,
Adam, what about you? If you're not interested in the girl, do you say right off the bat, or you just be nice and still talk to her, but kind of avoid asking for the second?
I don't. So we play a very delicate role as the males. I feel like that, and if I don't have that chemistry and connection with a woman, I'm not going to hint to her or tell her or put her on the spot, because I think it does more damage than it does benefit to that individual. If I say, hey, I don't think this is going somewhere, she may take that as a sign that that's an issue with her, but it very well could be an issue with me. And I don't think that type of discussion would invite something much more deeper to have to go into, which is not necessary at the moment. So, yeah, that's my...
Can I ask a question? I heard something from you, Sanas, which was about rejection, and I actually was wondering what's so bad about being rejected? Why do we have to avoid it like plague?
Well, I don't know how it is for men. I'm sure rejection is just like not good either way. But as women, we feel if we get we're expecting not to get rejected always, because of just being a woman in and of itself. But on the other hand, if it's someone that we really like and on top we're rejected, it does hurt, I think. For instance, I had this one person that I had dated once or twice, and the worst thing was, and I actually liked him. I had made a comment during the date, I remember, oh, you're cute. I said it in a good way, and I think he took it in the wrong way. Height-wise, he wasn't really tall, and I think he took offense to it, and he didn't call me back after that. And and I tried to reach out to him, but nothing, I got nothing. And I had no idea what went wrong. And I thought we had a great time, but it didn't, and it was the worst thing. And I still don't know to this day, but does it matter? No. I mean, I'm happy now, but I mean, yeah, I wish you would have said something about whether he took offense to something I had said, maybe, or we could have talked about it.
I can assure you from a male perspective that the reason that he did not talk to you was because of that one statement that you said he was cute or he said he was short. Those are excuses that which he used.
Probably.
And let me tell you, from a person...
No, he didn't say that. I replayed things that I went back to be like, okay, what could have gone wrong? 'Cause
you gave yourself excuses, which is fine for the rejection. And the rejection, I'll tell you, as a rejection artist king right here, because I probably got rejected more times than anyone's ever been rejected, period. But so how you always want to stay on top, right? You want to one up everyone and not lose. That's the point. And I don't think it's an ego thing. I think human nature thing, right? You don't want someone to come and say, you didn't work out for me. It's hard to digest. It's hard to process. And so for me, what's so bad about rejection, back to you, not only is your ego bruised for that few days that you shrug it off and you're in the, in the shower crying or with the candlelight and the wine, but you just, that's really those effects do happen, and those feelings that you sustain from rejection, maybe you haven't felt those, but I'll tell you, boy, with the 9,000 times that I've been rejected, or something. And I kind of include not only rejection, but dumps too, so breakups too, as part of the rejection, ultimately.
That's true, yeah.
Which those I could tell you about that.
Okay.
I wonder though that, because we are on this topic, and I feel like second date, which is our core topic, it's very much tied into being rejected or not. But I wonder maybe as far as I think what type of platform for growth that might exist for us isn't so much trying so hard or mastering the art of not being rejected. Instead, perhaps where there might be more possibility of growth is to actually becoming okay with rejection. Or developing a little sort of growing a thicker skin that if it happens, we know that we are not going to collapse as people.
Right.
The example that comes to mind is if you're an Olympian athlete and you want to do everything to never lose, you never are going to amount to anything. Losing is part of the game. Nobody can ever guarantee that you won't lose. And I feel like the best athletes are the ones who sort of learn how to deal with this and how to maintain a certain sense of self and move forward with their life. I wonder, I don't know what the thoughts might be around this, but becoming okay with rejection as opposed to avoiding it.
There's a saying that says if you're not successful, it's because you haven't been rejected enough. So I think that kind of relates to what you were saying. But I think we're running out of time, so just as a conclusion statement to wrap this show up, can you make a statement about this whole going on a second date thing?
I really enjoyed actually the perspectives from folks here, and I guess the message that I gather so far is that people are different, and in terms of what types of things might matter most to them, it's a little difficult to give one conclusion for everybody. Maybe I think what matters at this point for all of us is to know what things are most important to us and try to keep those in mind as we move from a first date to a second date.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Dr. Faris, for being with us. Thank you guys for your input. And I guess that's all we have for today. Thank you for being with us. True love isn't found, it's built.